Demon Rengoku, our favorite heart-blazing baddie with a taste for human udon. How would he match up against his former friends and colleagues? Mitsuri, Tengen, Muichiro, Shinobu, Giyu, and Obanai. Tengen Uzui. Tengen's biggest strength is his ninja background. This gives him a whole host of very non-Hashira-like abilities such as silent movement, disguise, extreme poison resistance, Wisteria Kunai, and, oh yes, bombs! Just like any ninja, right? All this meshes well with his ridiculous speed and his dual spinning cleavers. Unfortunately, as flamboyant as his bag of tricks may be, cosmetics are as far as they'll get him. Tengen has always been eclipsed by Rengoku even in human form, so with his demonic strength buff, the difference in pure base power is just too great. A Demon Rengoku outspeeds Tengen if only by a little. Flames would simply burn away bombs and Wisteria knives, and poison resistance, well, it ain't gonna do much against literal hellfire. Shinobu Kocho. Fluttering in next is the glassy-eyed greenhouse mistress, the elusive insect Hashira, weaving and concocting potions of destruction with an encyclopedic knowledge of biochemical warfare. She makes up for her lack of strength by treating her blade like a hornet stinger. So it's a battle of fire and flowers, flitting stabs and roaring blows. Weapons of biology versus the very desecration of all that is biological. However, despite it all, Shinobu's technical wizardry will befall the same fate that befell Tengen, and for the very same reason. Shinobu, even with access to the Demon Slayer's mark and the see-through world, would not be able to outspeed and overpower the blazing flames of Rengoku. And just like Doma, any poison that enters Rengoku's system could be broken down by his regeneration as long as he's aware of it. And he would be aware of it since, well, they were friends once. Mitsuri Kenroji, the student versus the master. Mitsuri possesses an unusually high muscle density, giving her an insane level of durability, and of course, making each blow from her hit like a truck. This gives her the safety of simply brute forcing her way through trials that other Hashira can't, like for example, throwing one giant wooden dragon into another giant wooden dragon. She's not the fastest in terms of running speed, but she makes up for it with a ridiculous amount of agility and swordsmanship, with her masterpiece of a whip katana that twists and curves like liquid. So while she may not be able to slash 100 times a second, each twist of her blade is worth 10 slashes each, so she easily makes up for it. The problem is, that's exactly the kind of power that a demonic Rengoku would expect since he taught Mitsuri. And in remembering Mitsuri's many strengths, Rengoku would also remember her weaknesses. Corrupted as he is, it doesn't change the fact that love breathing was derived from flame breathing. And watching Mitsuri train would have helped him analyze exactly what chinks to target in his defense. So the battle of pink and red begins, and shivers of love clash against roaring rage, slashing like lava out of Rengoku. And eventually, after a battle that lasts surprisingly long, a burnt, bleeding Mitsuri collapses as a flaming red blade cuts just through the slight opening between whip slashes. Obanai Iguro. It's not going to be an easy fight. Like Mitsuri, Obanai's movements are incredibly agile. However, he uses it to swerve out of direct confrontations rather than blitz into them. This makes the fight a little harder for Rengoku because the fight isn't coming directly to him, meaning his offense isn't as crushing. And what's more is Obanai pairs this slithering, winding movement with an absolute masterclass in swordsmanship, which pairs even better with the fact that Obanai is among the elite few to unlock the red blade. This makes each slash from him hurt a lot more. A red blade, limited access to the see-through world, boosting his evasiveness, the Demon Slayer mark, and of course, who could forget Kaburamaru, Obanai's second pair of eyes and ears. Kaburamaru gives Obanai a fighting chance even through the brink of death, because it doesn't matter what Rengoku does to him, blinding, deafening, amputating, or gouging. As long as Kaburamaru's alive, Obanai can keep avoiding attacks despite injuries. It will be a long, frustrating battle for Rengoku, who may even have to exert himself this time, much to his chagrin. But eventually, even flames will have nothing left to eat. Obanai gets a few very decent slices in, maybe even forcing Rengoku into a corner with some binding serpent strikes. But with the literal manifestation of flames, Rengoku can create a radius of fire around him that even Obanai can avoid. And thus, the serpent Hashira, relentlessly coiling around Rengoku with whatever strength he has left, eventually burns to cinders. Yes, Kaburamaru too, with his charred hand still clutching his sword. Giyu Tomioka. This is where Rengoku starts to meet his match, and for one simple reason. It's the iconic elemental clash, fire and water. Who will prevail? In Japanese philosophy, the power of water symbolizes change, flow, and the ebb of life. Somewhat complementing this, fire also signifies it's almost as if it begins to extinguish the very fire within Rengoku's soul. Rengoku's philosophy embodies fighting till you can't lose, and Giyu, bright ray of sunshine he is, fights always assuming he will lose. One feels like they must be strong enough while the other feels like they never are. Yet they match quite powerfully. Striking tides, water wheels, and flowing dances splash with a red blade against undulating flames and scorching suns, just about canceling each other out. And for a second, it seems like maybe, just maybe, Gyu's cleansing waters may calm Rengoku's rage once and for all. But alas, Gyu is not Tanjiro. Gyu's soul is not a pristine infinity pool, it's a river of doubt. So when push comes to shove and the pinnacle of dead calm is pitted against a blood art Rengoku, 9th form beats 11th. A blazing dragon bursts through the still waters, blasting it all into nothing. Moichiro Tokito. Moichiro is an incredibly formidable opponent against Rengoku because in order to kill him, well, Rengoku gotta find the kid first. Mist breathing is by far the most elusive sword style, as its main draw is to obscure the movements of its user, as though shrouded in mist. Go figure. This makes each strike very difficult to predict, even with the use of the cheat code that is the see-through world, and no amount of fire could help illuminate that. The other main problem this poses for Rengoku is that he needs to be on guard from every attack, because Moichiro is a ridiculously talented swordsman. Remember how we said Obanai is one of the best swordsmen? Well, this is his match. But while Obanai worked through intense training, Moichiro had the aid of pure distilled prodigal birthright. Being a direct descendant of the Sugikuni family, that's the people who invented breathing techniques if you didn't know, swording is in the kid's blood, and in other people's blood. Mainly when said kid's blade is neatly shoved through them. In any case, this technique combined with Moichiro's crazy speed and unpredictability makes him a master of movement. And equipped with a handy Demon Slayer mark, a red blade, and a see-through world, our boy has the full arsenal of physical stats to be on par with Rengoku, even through his blazing comet. We know that Hashira don't actually have the elements of the breathing technique on command. It just seems that way because of the movements of their sword. But you know what is real? Good old kinetic force. Hashira move at ridiculous speeds, and with that comes the backdraft of a trail left behind as they zoom forward. And as this happens, it's possible that the winds generated by their insane speed create just enough of a break in the flames, pushing them aside to make way for oncoming attacks. And Moichiro is no exception, flitting and slashing with this sea of clouds and haze, creating quick cuts against Rengoku's skin. Even Demon Rengoku would need to use quite a few of his most offensive forms, booming flame undulations, to block the invisible frenzy of Moichiro. But sadly, this, like most of the Hashira's battle, cannot last long term. Moichiro is human, and unfortunately, humans do tire, even when you're a god of combat. And eventually, Moichiro's movements will slow, and that's when Rengoku lights up. With a blaze of anger so pure, he'd hit Moichiro with everything he's got. 9th for Rengoku tried 3 of those. Oh, he's mad. He took a lot of hits during that fight. His neck may have even been slightly, just ever so slightly slashed, but wounds heal. You know what doesn't heal though? Ashes. And that's exactly what Rengoku makes of Moichiro, reducing him to dust.